Hey there, welcome back to meetrabbits.org. Today I'm talking about 5 of my favorite things in the rabbitry, things that I use that get me through. A lot of these are typical household things that just come in handy in the rabbitry I've found a use for, and maybe it'll be helpful for you. So we'll call this one Favorite Things Winter Edition, although some of these are things that you're going to use all year round. In fact, most of them are, but it is in the single digits. It's been in the single digits with a high of maybe mid-20s here for weeks now. So let's start with gloves. And these are my absolute favorite gloves for the rabbitry, pretty much for the farm in general. And they are the Kinko Hydroflectors. So I have several pairs of these. You can see that this pair I'm wearing actually is a couple years old, so they hold up. They really hold up well. What I love about these gloves is that they are fleece lined. They're really warm, but they're completely rubber coated, so they are completely waterproof. Literally, I'm about to feed them water here, and literally I will dunk my hands in water in and out several times, and I will be dry when I go inside. This is a big deal for me, actually, because I'm very sensitive to cold. I'm just a cold person, and I also have some weird thing going on where I actually will get welts and hives from the cold. Started after a poison ivy episode a few years ago in the middle of summer, ironically enough, and it's gone from there. So yeah, I need good hand protection and good protection that I don't have to take on and off and on and off, but I can still, work in the wet and water. Equally important is when I'm cleaning those cages and pulling the trays, I need to be able to work with moist, sloppy stuff then too. And these do the trick. They're really awesome. Highly recommend them. Next is just a simple putty scraper, and you can probably tell from the looks of it what I use this for. So you may have seen on the cage cleaning video that I use this to scrape out the trays, but I also use it when I go around. You're going to get some spots. There's going to be certain rabbits, certain cages that always seem to muck up a corner of their cage with, like, maybe it gets blocked up with some fur, and if our little darling would move, we could see, and that tends to block up and collect some urine and manure and stuff, which can lead to sore hocks and urine scald and mucky bottoms. So this does a good job of just scraping that off. I know a lot of people actually like a wire brush, which I do have one in here. It does okay, but I actually think the scraper does a little better. And then, I like to do a spring or fall clean where I take those cages out completely, power wash them, and get any of the leftover out of those corners. So just a cheap 4-inch putty knife, from any hardware place, works wonders. WD-40. I like to have WD-40 in the rabbit room. It really helps on these cages with the slide latches. And it's liquid at 20 degrees here. It helps to keep these in good shape, and it actually helps free them up. You might not think that they really need oiling, and maybe they don't, but it really makes those slide a lot easier. Does a good job with that. If you watched the recent cage tag video, you would have seen this. But shower rings, just your cheap, basic shower rings. And the more basic, the better. Don't go for the ones with the balls. They're kind of a problem. I use these when I want to reuse a tag. They fit right through these little slots. If you had a different style tag, or say a cow ear tag, they'd fit right in there. They hang, and the nice thing is that they can't chew them. So here's an example of before these came in, I used the ball style ones, and that's why I don't like them. But here's one, they can come on and off easily, move around. Another thing that I'll use them for is if we're harvesting, or say there's a rabbit I'm holding for somebody that I'm going to sell or something like that. It's easy to make a tag for the cage to throw on there, or I'll even just put it on the door so that anyone who's running rabbits when we're harvesting will think twice, because the door's not going to open easily, and it'll make them stop and kind of look at that tag. So if you use this for those around the rabbitry, nice to have on hand. And I think our last one is a calendar. If you are not a big person who wants to keep up with a lot of paperwork or an app or any of that, but you're going to want some sort of records, even if it's only a record of who was bred when the nest box needs to go in, and maybe what the ages of those litters are, this will do it. Honestly, I like my records because I like to kind of geek out about it. I just like doing that. And I like to have more information. I like to be able to track things, but a basic wall calendar will do the trick for everything you need. And you know, you get this style that you can write on easily. I would definitely not get a glossy, get the paper, because this time of year, you know, the pens freeze out here. So being able to write on it with pencil and having some nice open blocks where you can fit a good amount of information works really well. So, you know, those are 5 of my favorite things that I like to use in the rabbitry. There are other sorts of random things that I use. Zip ties, deli containers, all sorts of things that come in handy over different periods of time. But these are probably the ones that I use the most every day. And I know they sound silly and simple, but sometimes it's the silly and simple thing that just makes your life that much easier. You know, we've talked about things like the pencil cases that become hay racks. There's all sorts of different things that you could use. I've seen people that use, you know, one breeder I bought from, he was using like large tuna cans, like food service tuna cans, as all of his feed containers and water containers. So definitely lots of options there, and a lot of these will help you save money in your rabbitry because they're much cheaper versions of, say, like the J feeders or even the cage cups. These cage cups aren't too expensive, but you know, they are an expense that does add up over time. So those are mine, and you can see from my ice and empty cups, I need to get feeding and watering here. It's going to take a minute because, again, water's been tough to keep up with. I've been watering a few times a day, but these I will pop right in with my Kinko gloves on. I'll pop them in. That's why I have 2 buckets of water. Pop them in, pop the ice out, be able to refill them. Everybody's got clean open water to go with. So those are mine, at least the beginning of mine. Things I like to keep around in the rabbitry that help me out. If you have something to add to the list, go for it. Put it in the comments. Let us know. I know before some people have commented that, you know, instead of like investing in the rabbit cage mats, they go to the dollar store. They get like, it's like a sink mat or something that they use. I haven't done that. I just don't, I'm not in my dollar store that much, so I haven't looked at them, but I might. One thing I do like about this style cage mat is that they have a little tab on the end that clips in, and I'm not sure that those sink ones would. So if you've used them and you like them, like, let us know. Tell us about them in the comments. And that is it for today. That's my 5. Let us know what you use that could maybe save us some money or some headaches, and add it to the comments. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.